Welcome back with another exciting video. Enjoy watching and don't forget to like and leave a comment.
What if some of the oldest secrets in America were never meant to be discovered? What if deep beneath the forgotten lands of the United States, something ancient is still waiting in the dark? Tonight's story is based on mysterious reports, abandoned records, and terrifying events connected to a hidden place that many believe should never have been uncovered. This is not just a horror story, it's a warning. In the winter of 2003, a small documentary team disappeared somewhere in the remote deserts of Nevada, USA. Their van was later discovered abandoned near an old military route, almost 70 miles away from the nearest town. The engine was still running. Cameras were scattered across the sand. Food remained untouched inside the vehicle, but the 5 people inside the expedition were never officially found. For years, the case remained hidden from the public. Most people never heard about it, until a former government archivist leaked a collection of damaged audio recordings and handwritten journals connected to the team. The documents described something impossible, something ancient, something buried beneath the American desert long before recorded history began. The leader of the expedition was a 42-year-old historian named Daniel Mercer. Daniel had spent years researching strange disappearances connected to abandoned locations across the southwestern United States. According to his journal, he became obsessed with an old Native American legend describing the Hollow Below, a forbidden underground place hidden somewhere beneath the Nevada desert. The legend claimed the underground structure was older than human civilization itself, older than Egypt, older than the pyramids. The deeper Daniel investigated, the stranger the evidence became. He discovered references to the same underground location inside military documents from the 1960s. Entire sections were blacked out, coordinates were removed, witness names were erased, but one sentence appeared repeatedly throughout the files: "Do not enter the lower chambers." Daniel believed the government had discovered something beneath the desert and covered it up for decades. So he assembled a small team. There was Emily Carter, a videographer known for filming dangerous expeditions; Marcus Hill, a geologist specializing in underground cave systems; Rebecca Stone, a translator who studied ancient symbols in dead languages; Tyler Reed, a survival expert; and finally, Daniel himself. On December 14, 2003, the team drove deep into the Nevada desert, following old coordinates recovered from the leaked documents. The first few days seemed normal. The desert stretched endlessly around them. Empty roads, dry mountains, silence. But on the third night, strange things began happening. Emily reported hearing metallic sounds beneath the ground while setting up camp. Tyler claimed he saw lights moving across distant hills where no roads existed. Marcus noticed that their compasses were malfunctioning randomly. Then Rebecca discovered something carved in a massive rock formation near their campsite. Symbols, hundreds of them, perfectly engraved into stone, not scratched, not weathered, engraved with impossible precision. Rebecca spent hours studying the markings before quietly telling Daniel something disturbing. The symbols did not match any known Native American language. In fact, she believed they were thousands of years older. That night, the team recorded the first audio anomaly. At exactly 2:13 a.m., one of the cameras captured a low sound coming from beneath the desert floor. It almost resembled human voices whispering together underground. But when the audio was enhanced later, the whispers became clearer. They were repeating the same sentence over and over: "Do not open the door." The next morning, Marcus located a hidden entrance partially buried beneath collapsed rock and sand. The entrance was massive, unlike anything they expected. Smooth black stone formed perfect walls leading downward into darkness. There were no tool marks, no cracks, no signs of erosion. It looked unnatural, almost manufactured. And strangely, the air coming from below felt warm. Daniel became convinced they had discovered the hidden, underground structure mentioned in the legends. Against Tyler's warnings, the team entered the tunnel. The descent continued far deeper than expected. Their lights revealed enormous walls covered with strange carvings. Human figures appeared throughout the murals, kneeling before tall, shadow-like beings with hollow eyes. Some murals showed entire cities burning beneath dark skies. Others showed people disappearing underground. Rebecca translated several symbols near the entrance of the first chamber. Her hands reportedly shook while writing the translation into her notebook. The sleeping ones beneath the earth must never wake. Hours passed as they explored deeper into the underground structure. Then they found the staircase, a gigantic spiral staircase descending farther into darkness than their lights could reach. Marcus estimated the structure extended at least several hundred feet underground, possibly deeper. As they descended, the temperature increased, the walls became smoother, and the whispers returned. This time, everyone heard them, faint voices echoing through the tunnels, sometimes sounding close, sometimes impossibly distant. Emily later described the feeling inside the structure as being watched by something that never blinked. At approximately 7:40 p.m., the team reached a massive underground chamber unlike anything ever discovered in North America. The room was enormous. Stone pillars stretched upward into darkness. A black circular platform stood in the center, surrounded by strange symbols glowing faintly red beneath layers of dust. And behind the platform stood a gigantic stone door, nearly 30 feet tall, covered with carvings of twisted human figures screaming toward the sky. Rebecca immediately became terrified. She begged Daniel to leave. According to the recovered footage, she repeatedly said one sentence, "We are not supposed to be here." But Daniel refused. He believed the chamber could change human history forever. While examining the platform, Marcus discovered something horrifying. The red glow beneath the dust was not paint, it was heat. The symbols embedded in the floor were warm, as if the structure itself was somehow alive. Then the cameras began malfunctioning. Static filled the screens, batteries drained within minutes, and Tyler suddenly pointed his flashlight toward the far end of the chamber. Someone was standing there. At first, they thought it was another explorer, but the figure was impossibly tall, thin, motionless. Its body appeared almost human, yet unnaturally stretched, and its eyes reflected light like glass. The figure slowly disappeared behind one of the pillars without making a sound. Panic spread through the team. Tyler demanded they leave immediately. Even Daniel appeared shaken. But before they could retreat, the underground chamber trembled violently. Dust exploded from the ceiling. The massive stone door began making a deep grinding sound. And then it moved, only slightly, but enough for darkness behind the door to become visible. The whispers instantly grew louder, not from the walls, not from beneath the ground, from behind the door.
Emily's recovered camera footage captured the team backing away in terror as strange sounds echoed through the chamber. Then, the recording abruptly ended. The next surviving footage was recovered from a damaged camera found outside the cave entrance weeks later. The team appeared exhausted and terrified. Tyler was bleeding from his arm. Marcus kept looking behind him repeatedly as if something was following them, and Rebecca refused to speak at all. Daniel recorded a final message directly into the camera. His face looked pale and sleepless. He said they had opened something beneath the desert, something ancient, something that was never human. He claimed the structure was not a tomb, not a temple, but a prison. According to Daniel, the carvings inside the chamber told the story of an ancient civilization that once discovered beings living beneath the earth thousands of years ago. The beings could imitate voices, manipulate thoughts, and lure humans underground. This civilization sealed them behind the stone door after countless people vanished. Then they buried the entire structure beneath the desert to prevent anyone from returning. Daniel ended the recording with a warning. If anyone finds this footage, never go looking for the lower chamber. That was the final confirmed recording. 3 weeks later, a search team located the expedition vehicle abandoned in the desert. No bodies were ever recovered, but investigators found strange evidence surrounding the site. Deep marks in the sand circled the vehicle repeatedly, as if something large had moved around it for hours. All clocks inside the van had stopped at exactly 2:13 a.m., the same time the whispers were first recorded. Even stranger, every member of the rescue team later reported hearing whispering sounds at night after returning home. Officially, authorities declared the expedition lost due to dangerous cave collapses and environmental exposure. The case was closed. But years later, new information emerged. A retired military officer anonymously contacted an investigative journalist and revealed shocking details connected to the Nevada underground structure. According to the officer, the United States government had discovered the underground chambers decades earlier during secret weapons testing in the 1960s. Several soldiers reportedly disappeared underground after entering the site. Others returned mentally unstable. One man repeatedly carved the same sentence into concrete walls inside a military hospital before disappearing entirely. He is still beneath us. The military eventually sealed the entrance using explosives and classified the entire operation. Or at least they believed they sealed it. The journalist investigating the story later disappeared while traveling through Nevada in 2011. His rental car was discovered abandoned near the same desert region connected to Daniel Mercer's expedition. Inside the vehicle, police found only one thing: a voice recorder. Most of the audio was corrupted, but near the end of the recording, faint whispering could be heard. Then the journalist's terrified voice spoke 4 words: "There's someone underground here." The recording ended with a loud metallic sound, similar to the audio captured by Daniel's team years earlier. To this day, conspiracy theories surrounding the Nevada underground structure continue spreading online. Some believe the chambers still exist somewhere beneath restricted military land. Others claim hikers occasionally hear strange noises beneath the desert floor at night. A few even believe the ancient door was never fully closed again. In 2019, a group of amateur explorers allegedly attempted to locate the entrance using old satellite maps connected to the leaked military coordinates. None of them publicly shared their findings. Their social media accounts stopped updating suddenly after posting images from the Nevada desert. One final image was uploaded hours before all contact ended. The picture showed a dark opening in the side of a canyon, and near the entrance, partially buried beneath sand, was a warning carved in stone: "Do not wake them."
Some people believe stories like this are only myths designed to scare people away from dangerous places. Maybe they are, but even today, certain parts of the Nevada desert remain permanently restricted without explanation. Entire roads lead nowhere. Unmarked helicopters are sometimes reported flying over empty regions at night, and locals living near isolated desert towns still tell stories about strange sounds echoing from beneath the earth after midnight. Sounds resembling whispers, waiting, calling. If the ancient prison beneath the desert truly exists, perhaps humanity was never meant to find it, because some doors are locked for a reason, and sometimes the scariest mysteries are the ones buried beneath our feet.
The story should have ended there. But in 2024, something happened that forced people to reopen the mystery once again. A freelance journalist named Michael Reeves received a package with no return address at his apartment in Las Vegas. Inside the package was an old hard drive wrapped in faded military documents. Most of the papers were damaged by water and age, but one sentence was clearly visible across multiple pages. Subjects continue hearing voices after exposure. Michael initially believed it was a hoax, until he connected the serial number on the hard drive to archived government equipment used during military operations in Nevada during the late 1960s. The hard drive contained corrupted files, incomplete maps, and hours of damaged recordings. One file stood out immediately. Lower chamber incident. Classified. The recording began with static before revealing a group of military personnel descending through underground tunnels carrying large floodlights and radio equipment. The timestamp showed October 3rd, 1967. Unlike Daniel Mercer's expedition, these men were heavily armed. Yet even through the damaged footage, fear was obvious in their faces. The commanding officer identified the location only as Site Echo. Michael spent weeks restoring the corrupted footage frame by frame. What he discovered terrified him. The soldiers repeatedly hearing voices from areas where nobody was present. One man claimed he heard his dead brother calling his name from deep underground. Another soldier became hysterical after insisting that someone had whispered directly into his ear while he stood alone inside a sealed chamber. But the most disturbing part appeared near the end of the footage. The military team eventually reached the same massive stone door described decades later by Daniel Mercer's group. Only in this recording, the door was already partially open. The opening was small, less than 2 feet wide, yet the darkness behind it appeared unnatural. Even the powerful floodlights failed to illuminate whatever existed beyond the doorway. Then, the audio captured something impossible. A voice, perfectly clear, not distorted, not whispering. A calm human voice coming from inside the darkness. Come closer. One soldier immediately dropped his weapon and began walking toward the opening. The commanding officer screamed at him to stop, but the man continued moving slowly as if hypnotized. When another soldier grabbed his arm, the affected man suddenly attacked him violently before breaking free and disappearing through the narrow opening in the stone door. The remaining soldiers rushed forward, their lights pointed into the darkness, but the missing soldier was gone. There was nowhere he could have hidden. The space beyond the opening looked endless, like a black void stretching far beyond the structure itself. Then came the scream, a horrifying human scream
echoing from somewhere deep beyond the doorway. It lasted nearly 20 seconds and abruptly stopped. Panic spread instantly through the military team. The commanding officer ordered immediate evacuation. But before they could leave, something appeared behind the opening. At first, Michael thought the damaged footage was corrupted, until he slowed the video. A face, pale, thin, human-like, watching silently from the darkness behind the door. The eyes reflected the floodlights like mirrors, and the face was smiling. The footage ended seconds later after violent camera interference filled the screen. Michael became obsessed with uncovering the truth behind Site Echo. Friends later reported that he barely slept during the following weeks. He covered the walls of his apartment with maps, military reports, and screenshots from the footage. Then, strange things started happening around him. Neighbors complained about hearing voices coming from Michael's apartment late at night, even when he was alone. His phone reportedly called random contacts at exactly 2:13 a.m. multiple nights in a row. When people answered, they heard only static and faint whispering. Michael himself began keeping detailed notes about disturbing experiences. One journal entry read, "I keep hearing footsteps beneath my floor at night." Another said, "The voices know my name now." Despite the fear growing around him, Michael refused to stop investigating. He eventually tracked down a retired military engineer named Harold Bennett, living alone near Reno. Harold had worked at a classified desert facility during the late 1960s and initially denied any knowledge of Site Echo. But after Michael showed him screenshots from the restored footage, the old man reportedly became pale with fear. According to Michael's notes, Harold finally confessed after hours of questioning. The government had not discovered the underground structure accidentally. They had been searching for it intentionally for years. Harold claimed ancient references to the chambers appeared in old Spanish exploration records dating back hundreds of years. Some explorers described hearing voices beneath the mountains before entire groups disappeared mysteriously. Even certain Native American tribes reportedly avoided large regions of the Nevada desert, believing something evil slept underground. But the military did not believe the legends at first. Harold explained that early excavation teams uncovered tunnels extending far deeper than expected. The deeper crews traveled underground, the more psychological problems began appearing. Workers reported hallucinations, paranoia, nightmares, and eventually disappearances. One excavation team vanished entirely during a tunnel expansion project in 1964. Only one worker returned. According to Harold, the survivor repeatedly spoke about people moving in the dark without making sounds. The man later died inside a psychiatric hospital after clawing his own eyes out. Michael recorded every word carefully. But one detail disturbed him most. Harold claimed the stone door had never been fully sealed. The military only collapsed the upper tunnels. The lower chambers still remained intact beneath the desert. And according to Harold, something inside the structure occasionally tried communicating with people above ground, especially at night.
Before leaving, Harold gave Michael a final warning. If you hear them calling your name, never answer. 3 days later, Harold Bennett was found dead inside his home. Authorities declared it a heart attack, but neighbors reported hearing loud banging sounds beneath the floorboards of the house during the night before his death. Michael became convinced someone was monitoring his investigation. His emails were mysteriously deleted. His apartment was broken into twice, although nothing appeared stolen. Then came the final message. On March 18, 2024, Michael uploaded a private video to cloud storage with instructions for it to release automatically if anything happened to him. The video was recorded inside a motel room somewhere in Nevada. Michael looked exhausted, terrified. He claimed someone had sent him updated coordinates leading directly to the underground structure, and against his better judgment, he had gone there. According to Michael, the entrance was no longer buried. A narrow opening had appeared between collapsed canyon walls after a recent earthquake. He admitted entering the tunnel alone. At first, everything matched the older descriptions: the symbols, the smooth black walls, the whispers. But deeper underground, Michael discovered something new. Fresh footprints, not his own, hundreds of them, leading downward toward the lower chambers. Some appeared human, others did not. The video shook violently as Michael described reaching the massive underground chamber containing the stone door. This time, however, the door was fully open. Behind it existed only darkness, no walls, no visible floor, just endless black emptiness. Michael claimed he heard movement inside the void, breathing, and distant voices speaking in multiple languages simultaneously. Then he said something that chilled everyone who later watched the video. The voices aren't coming from inside the chamber anymore. He paused, his face pale with terror. They're coming from everywhere. Suddenly, loud metallic sounds echoed somewhere outside the motel room. Michael froze instantly. The sound repeated again, slow, heavy, like metal scraping across stone. Then faint whispering became audible through the camera microphone. Michael's eyes widened because the whispers were coming from directly outside his motel door. The final moments of the video were chaotic. Someone or something softly knocked 3 times against the door. Michael whispered, "They followed me." Another knock echoed through the room. Then came a voice, calm, human, almost friendly. "Michael, open the door." But according to the official motel records, nobody else was registered near his room that night. The video ended abruptly after the lights inside the room suddenly failed. Michael Reeves disappeared before sunrise. Police found his motel room empty later that morning. The door remained locked from the inside. No signs of struggle, no blood, no footprints, nothing. Except for one strange detail. Across the motel floor, investigators discovered long black marks stretching from the bathroom to the bed, as if something heavy had been dragged across the room during the night. Michael Reeves was never seen again. Today, many people dismiss the entire story as internet fiction or conspiracy mythology. Maybe that is true. Maybe the underground structure never existed. Maybe every disappearance was coincidence. But there is one detail nobody has ever explained. The whispering audio recovered from Daniel Mercer's expedition, the military recordings from 1967, and Michael Reeves' final motel video all contained the exact same unidentified background sound, a deep metallic noise repeating every few seconds beneath the voices. Experts later enhanced the audio and discovered the sound resembled something enormous, slowly knocking from the other side of a stone door.